So, tell me this, how in the world did Key Glock, the so-called paper route prince, end up trading icy chains for prison chains? Yeah, you heard that right. Word on the curb is Glock just got slapped with the kind of sentence that makes life without parole sound like a vacation package. But hold up before you start clutching your pearls and Googling, is this real? Let me break it down the way the streets and the internet both love it. Messy, dramatic, and Jewisher than a TMZ headline on steroids. This ain't just about one man catching a case. Nah, this is about revenge, betrayal, and a rap beef that's been bubbling hotter than a Popeye's grease fryer. They're saying Glock didn't just rap about the smoke, he became the smoke. And when Yo Gotti's name got dragged into court like a rag doll, suddenly Glock was staring at a playbook straight out of The Wire. Except this version ends with him behind bars, instead of on the charts. So, the million-dollar question is, did Key Glock just throw away his entire empire for street justice? Or is there more to this than the prosecutors want you to know? Stick around, cause this rabbit hole goes deep. Alright, let's set the stage, because this ain't just another rapper dash caught dash with dash some dash weed story. This right here, this is straight up Shakespeare in the Trap, complete with betrayal, bloodlines, and an ending that's uglier than a SoundCloud rapper's first mugshot. We're talking about Key Glock, the golden child of the paper route empire, the heir to Young Dolph's throne, the dude everybody thought was about to carry Memphis on his back, but somewhere between the mixtapes and the millions. Glock apparently decided his best career move was to turn his life into a deleted episode of Power. And who's at the center of this chaos? None other than Yo Gotti, the man Glock allegedly tried and failed to put in the dirt. Now, if you've been living under a rock or worse, listening to mumble rap without subtitles, let me rewind. The Dolph versus Gotti beef wasn't just some petty he said, she said situation. This was a decade-long Cold War in the streets of Memphis, paper route empire versus the MG. Think Avengers versus Thanos, but with more Dracos and less CGI. When Young Dolph got gunned down in broad daylight at that cookie shop in 2021, everybody knew the streets weren't gonna just let that one slide. And who was left holding the weight of that tragedy? Key Glock, Dolph's blood cousin, his right-hand man, the so-called paper route prince. And that's where the plot thickens. Because according to prosecutors, Glock didn't just grieve, he plotted. They're saying he became obsessed with revenge, allegedly putting together what they call a targeted elimination plan against Yo Gotti himself. A murder attempt, people, not some diss track, not some subliminal on Instagram. We're talking about the real deal, military precision, coordinated shooters, the whole Netflix special. Of course, Glock's legal team is screaming cap louder than a hype man at Rolling Loud. They're saying it's all circumstantial, that the feds are just spinning a story to make headlines. But the anonymous insiders keep whispering about burner phones, money transfers, and some very suspicious late-night meetings in abandoned parking lots. Now you know how it goes. Once the streets start talking, the internet amplifies it, and suddenly, it doesn't matter what's true, it matters what people believe. And trust me, the people believe. Social media is lit up like a Christmas tree, with hashtags like hashtag Free Glock, hashtag Justice for Dolph, and my personal favorite, hashtag Gotti got lucky. Memes are flying around of Glock photoshopped as Scarface, sitting in a prison jumpsuit with the caption, "The world is yours," until it's not. But here's where it gets wild. Rumor has it, Glock wasn't acting alone. Some sources are claiming there's an entire network of pre-affiliates tied to this so-called assassination attempt. Anonymous court leaks are hinting at a chain of command, like Glock was running his own little rap mafia syndicate. So the burning question becomes, was Key Glock the mastermind of a botched hit on Yo Gotti? Or just a grieving cousin who got caught in the crossfire of street politics? Either way, the streets are buzzing, the feds are digging, and Glock is looking at a sentence so long, his grandkids might be eligible for parole before he is. And just when you think this scandal can't get any messier, guess what? It does. Because leaked reports suggest Glock's so-called revenge plot was funded with money straight out of PRE's label accounts. Yep, you heard me. We're talking about studio budgets being flipped into street war budgets. Imagine investing in an album and instead financing a drive dash by Dasso. Let's pick up right where we left off, because if pre-money was really being funneled into some underground get-back operation, then this wasn't just Key Glock moving reckless. This was a full-blown label scandal. The kind of thing that makes the IRS start drooling and the feds start sharpening their pencils. According to alleged leaked documents, And you know how the internet loves to say alleged right before they spilled the wildest TPRE funds that were supposed to go toward marketing campaigns. And tour expenses mysteriously disappeared. And guess where they popped up? Wire transfers to shell companies, anonymous cash withdrawals, and even, wait for it, luxury car rentals that prosecutors claim were used as getaway vehicles. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, your favorite rapper might have financed an assassination attempt with the same budget line item labeled miscellaneous travel. Now, whether that's fact or just the streets doing what they do best, mixing half-truths with conspiracy theories, the public reaction has been chef's kiss. Social media detectives are breaking this down like they're auditioning for CSI. Memphis. One Twitter thread with 200,000 retweets claims Glock was spotted in a blacked-out Escalade at 3 a.m. outside one of Gotti's known hangouts. Another viral TikTok swears his lyrics in a recent track were basically a confession, pointing to bars like "I ain't forget, I ain't forgive, it's forever smoke." And then there's the memes, though. The memes. One has Glock photoshopped as Joe Exotic from Tiger King, with the caption, "I will never financially recover from this." Another shows Yo Gotti holding a no reverse card, smiling like he just dodged a bullet literally. But let's not get it twisted. This ain't just internet jokes. Anonymous street insiders have been talking to fake news outlets left and right, saying Glock wasn't just going after Gotti, he was trying to decapitate the entire CMG operation. Word is, there was a hit list, complete with names, addresses, and potential setups. Whether that list actually exists or not doesn't even matter anymore, because once that narrative hit the blogs, Glock's image went from loyal cousin to rap game Don Corleone, and the reactions in the industry, man, it's split right down the middle. Some rappers are staying silent, too scared to pick a side. Others are openly clowning Glock, saying he played himself by moving sloppy and letting his emotions dictate his actions. Meanwhile, die-hard Pre-fans are screaming that it's all a setup, that Glock's being framed as this video of some bigger government plot to dismantle Memphis rap, the same way they tried to dismantle Chicago drill. One leaked FBI report, probably written by a dude in his mom's basement, claims federal informants have been embedded in Memphis clubs for years, waiting for this exact kind of fallout to bring the hammer down on both crews. And while that might sound like conspiracy theory territory, the scary part is, it kind of makes sense. Because let's be real, how else would the feds get this much dirt, this fast? Either Glock was moving like the world's sloppiest crime boss, or somebody close to him is singing like Mariah Carey on Christmas Eve. And in the world of street politics, a snitch ain't just dangerous, it's fatal. Which brings us to the next logical question. If Glock really is sitting on a life sentence for this alleged murder attempt, then what does that mean for Pre, CMG, and the entire Memphis rap economy? And now we reach the part where the smoke clears or at least thickens enough that you can barely see who's left standing. Because if Key Glock is really facing life behind bars for allegedly plotting on Yo Gotti, the fallout ain't just personal, it's nuclear. First off, Paper Route Empire. Pre was supposed to be Dolph's legacy, the independent powerhouse that showed artists you could make millions without bowing to major labels. But with Glock as the frontman, now stamped as a convicted felon in the court of public opinion, Pre is looking less like a label and more like a crime syndicate on the evening news. Sponsors are allegedly pulling out. Distribution partners are suddenly reviewing contracts. And streaming platforms, they're shadow banning his music harder than your ex shadow ban your number. Meanwhile, CMG and Yo Gotti are acting like they just won the Super Bowl. Rumor has it Gotti's been privately celebrating, telling his circle, that's one less headache in the city. But don't get it twisted, this isn't a clean win. Because Glock's conviction, whether real or just another internet headline, paints Gotti as a target who is almost taken out. That kind of publicity don't make you look strong. It makes you look vulnerable. And in street politics, vulnerability is blood in the water. The legal side of things, oh, it's a circus. Prosecutors are holding press conferences like they're auditioning for Law and Order. They're promising further indictments, hinting that more Pre-affiliates could be dragged into this mess. There's even talk of RICO charges because apparently no scandal is complete without the 3 scariest letters in hip-hop. Imagine that Pre versus the United States government. Spoiler alert, Uncle Sam always wins. And let's not forget the financial chaos Pre had upcoming tours, merch drops, and endorsement deals worth millions. Now, those same deals are either frozen, canceled, or being rerouted to Glock's legal defense fund, which, by the way, Fans are hilariously donating to like it's a Kickstarter for a new mixtape. One fan comment literally said, "Take my $20, free my dog Glock, and drop that album from prison." But here's where the real tension lies. If Glock really orchestrated a hit on Gotti, then the cycle of retaliation is already loading up for its next chapter. Because if you think CMG is just gonna shrug and let the justice system handle this, you don't know Memphis. Every action has a reaction, every bullet has a cousin, and the streets don't forgive, they keep score. Glock might be behind bars, but pre-soldiers on the outside, they still breathing. And you best believe CMG knows it, so the big question is, does this sentence end the war? Or does it just press play on the next verse of this deadly track? The government says justice served, the streets say to be continued, and the fans, they're just here for the drama, refreshing their feeds like it's the latest season of Snowfall. One thing's for sure, this scandal didn't just change Key Glock's future. It shifted the entire balance of Memphis rap, maybe forever. So here we are, Key Glock, the paper root prince, now stamped as the poster boy for street justice gone wrong. But tell me this, is this really the end of his story, or just the beginning of something darker? Did the system take him down, or did he play himself into a corner? Either way, the fallout's just getting started. Now it's your turn. Drop a comment below. Is Glock a victim, a villain, or both? Smash that like button, subscribe for more unfiltered truth bombs, and stay tuned, because this saga is far from over.